Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Strategic Feminine here on YouTube. And of course, we always focus on all things feminine, all things girly, all things womanly in essence. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the rest of the video. So I saw Ice Spice and Latto. They are squashing the beef, apparently. And this thought to me, I have to explain the dark-skinned sidekick complex in a lot more detail, because this explains why it never actually works when you make your platform to be a stepping stool for your community, right? Y'all all know the Cleopatra situation. That's old, okay? We know that. However, this is very relevant due to Ice Spice and Latto squishing their beef over their new song, GYATT, okay? Now, quite personally, I like Ice Spice as an artist, and I tried to support Cleopatra when she was going through her whole debacle. She dropped the song Everybody Ate with Lay Banks. I can say that I was thoroughly disappointed with the production of the song, Everybody Ate. I felt like for something, if she wanted to be a serious artist, I really thought that her producer or her mixer, her engineer, whoever she had in the back, could have did better on that sample, on that beat. It was literally it was like she was fighting with the beat because it was laid improperly, in my opinion. And I don't think that's why the song went too well, because of just the editing mishaps within the original drop. So Cleopatra, after she talked about how badly she was treated on the Y2K Ice Spice tour, and she disassociated herself from Ice Spice and just basically cut ties and said we're no longer friends due to how poorly she treated me, and how she was trying to use my ethnicity as a way to slip into the cookout. So let's take this all the way back to last year, because I have to explain this thoroughly for the girls in the back. So at this time last year, Ice Spice was beefing with Latto. Allegedly, she was beefing with Latto on behalf of Nicki Minaj, also playing her own sidekick to, bigger artists like Nicki and Taylor. So when Ice Spice was dropping, you think you'd shh, you're not even the fart, right? When Ice Spice dropped that, she had Cleopatra front and center, ready to go to war behind her and the beef with Latto. You were using Cleopatra as your warring sparring partner, right? And now that you're no longer friends with Cleo, neither is she publicly on any good terms with Nicki Minaj right now, after being within this really weird space in the industry for a year where, she just had her first big controversy. She was kind of exposed for a little bit of her anti-Black behaviors. We're not going to say that she's anti-Black for sure, but she has anti-Black behaviors, which most people within the Black diaspora or people who associate with the Black diaspora, they have these behaviors.
My experience firsthand with the whole Ice Spice and Cleo tension shit. With Spice, and me and her cool as hell, so we just be regularly talking about shit. I see she got an attitude, so I asked her, like, what's up? Like, you good type shit? Like, filling her out. She like, oh, yeah, I'm cool, woo, woo. It's just Cleo black ass doing too much. I'm like, damn, hold up. Like, do what you gotta do. So now I get back in the room with Ice. She on FaceTime with Riot. She letting him know, like, yeah, she doing too much. She blowing my scale. She was like, bitches gotta go. They asking for too much. Woo, woo. Bitches acting broke. Like, I'm really tired of her black ass. And I'm like, damn, like, why does she keep saying this? Like, what? And, I'm not really thinking nothing too much of it because, like, I guess she mixed with Black or something like that. But, like, to actually hear Cleo's whole story, that bitch colorist. Like, yeah.
But yeah, Cleo too, you forgetting a whole bunch of other shit that happened too. Or like, to mention it. Like when we was in Miami in a truck on the way to the club and you was on aux. Y'all, I don't know if this girl forgot to unadd the album or something, but y'all know who album rocking right now. Y'all knew what the fuck came on. Yeah, Ice was heated. Brokey. So, alright, so now we in the car, and like I said, Ryan was already peeping that Ice was low-key doing Cleo petty. So he ended up texting her. And when he texted her, this how we knew her ass was on some weird shit and she felt some type of way. Like, what she said was just out of proportion. Like, she was doing way too much. Like, I ain't even know the bitch talk like this. And for all the motherfuckers that saying I'm trolling and shit, no, I'm not trolling. Like,
so this hairstylist, he spoke out a year ago when Cleopatra was going through her stuff. And I put this in here to corroborate a few things. First of all, to confirm that Cleo is not a liar and that everything that she said happened, okay? To confirm that there really was some real tension between Latto and Ice Spice during the time last year. She couldn't even hear no music, okay? having to do with Latto, and that this is all just one big PR, kerfuffle. The only thing consistent about Ice Spice to date is that she is literally like some type of a culture vulture, a tick, a parasite. She's the type of person to latch on from pillar to post, person to person, artist to artist, in order to utilize their fan base and for her gain, right? That's the only talent she has. Is kind of like a socialite type of thing. So in this scenario with Latto and Ice Spice, this dynamic was actually mutually beneficial. They both benefit off of this type of dynamic. However, previously with Ice Spice and Cleopatra, there was no mutually beneficial relationship. It was actually lopsided and unfair. Now that she wasn't able to slip into the Black community or the Nigerian community specifically through Cleo's, Nigerian card, she laid low for a minute, to avoid the anti-Black rumors or what have you. And now she's going to do her rollout again and she's popping out. All right, let me keep this a bean, okay? I really could care less the percentage or the amount of Nigerian ancestry that Ice Spice has in her bloodline. I could care less. However, the way that Ice Spice came out into the public, trying to claim this Nigerian ancestry, like she was some type of ally, like she was proud of her Blackness, like she was in touch with it, like, like she out here, hopping around eating soup beans and fufu or some shit. Like, she really tried to play it off in her Black card so she could say the N-word. Only to find out that the only way that she knew that she had any Nigerian ancestry is through a DNA test. Come on. That means that you're very far removed from the Nigerian culture, that you don't know too much about it, which is okay. So behind the scenes, you're calling your best friend's Black ass, right? Bullying girls in high school and being accused of being a colorist, right? But in public, you got to claim Nigerian, form performative allies with other Black women in order to dodge these rumors entirely. This is what Baby Storm said way back when everybody dismissed her. She says the girl that she chooses to be best friends with in public, when in reality, it was me behind the scenes. Cleo and her are not really friends. Isis has always hated Cleo, but she used her so she can appear closer to Blackness. Okay? So here's where this is important. These women, they're utilizing our spaces. However, they feel intimidated by our spaces. And you see that on the back end, right? On top of that, the number one thing that's consistent about Ice Spice across the board is that she's a hater, certified. This serves as documentation to all of Ice Spice's relationships with her female friends and how they tend to go in cycles. She bullied Baby Storm in high school and middle school and then befriended her after she got her social media popping. Because I do remember Baby Storm in like middle school, high school. Like she was popping back in the day, right? Okay. Was privately hating on Cleopatra to Baby Storm. And then when she needed her platform, she then befriended her. Again with Latto, publicly hating on her. Okay, well, I don't like you. You think you the ish. You're not even the fart. I'm thicker than you. I'm prettier than you. Just to turn around, and now she needs to use you for her platform so she can use her for a song. It all goes in cycles. And this is funny to me. Doechii, too. She was publicly hanging with Doechii at an industry party. They cool. They posted, okay, look at me. I'm hanging with celebrities. But then behind the scenes, you having commentary about Doechii's career. And see, people never really talk about this dynamic. The dynamic when the unambiguous woman is getting hated on for her resources, her talents, and her success. And this is the lifestyle that I live very, very plainly. So I can always clock a bitch. Okay, always can clock a bitch. But I will say, just lastly, and this is why I only hang with girls, okay? Because you're not going to sit there, use me, hate on me, and then need my platform a year later. That's just not how this thing goes. So personally, this is why I really can't publicly support Ice Spice. Publicly, I mean, the music is okay. It's okay. But the thing is, when people have a string of hating on unambiguous women, I'd be like, oh yeah, you like one of them. Like you a colorist. Like it's nothing to say, because I think that within all of these different scenarios, it proves how she was intimidated by all these women. I can see why you're intimidated by Latto. Latto's been out here in the paint. You know what I'm saying? And she bad too. So this is where the spirit of intimidation gets these girls, and then they act out of emotion because they feel inadequate next to actual talented stars and artists, okay? This is why I tell y'all not to rely on pretty privilege as your end-all be-all, because pretty privilege is helpful when you can couple it with other things, right? Talents, all of that. And this is why I always pop my as a hot and big unambiguous woman, black woman, dark skin, tight for hair, do the thing. Because people try to use you as their blueprint and then hope that you don't notice. Like, it's the funniest thing. People, like, I know I'm your blueprint and I'm going to make sure that you know that I know all the way around. Now, Latto has a better face card. A lot of her dirt is done under dark, so we really don't know. However, I think that this is what should happen. I think that women of this personality type, it often gets called mean girls, but with this personality type, they should click together. They should befriend each other. They should abuse each other, because it's always funny to see how these types of pairings age 6 to 7 to 8 months from now. Now, the reason why I feel a little uneasy is because unless they're willing to commit to truly being cool, actually keeping up this relationship and becoming besties, it'll be really, really easy to fall back into beefing again. And then all of this would have just been for naught. But we'll see what happens. I'm just calling it for now, okay? I think that this is what I try to get you guys to understand on my channel. Y'all be calling me all types of names because I understand the way that the mean girls think and operate, as a surviving mean girl, okay? So I try to put y'all up on game so you can get what you need in your relationships, friendships, or otherwise. Because so often a lot of us settle for, less, do more, play crazy on the internet, Cleopatra, and undermine our own success by not reading the writing on the wall. The whole thing super emotional, or it's like a personal attack. Like, again, I like both of these women's music, but we can still understand, like, when we break down music and business strategy, we see through the games here. And I think that after the initial fandom riles up, it'll go and be back to normal. However, what I really wish and what's upsetting. So it's unfortunate that Cleopatra didn't have the discernment or the vocabulary required in order to peep out these types of women and snuff them out so they don't get to use any of your platform. So it's unfortunate because look, she literally was sending shots, being your little best friend, just for Ice Spice to go run behind Latto a year later in order to get streams, notoriety, and just be back in the public again, just to have people speaking about her, right? So that's why it's important for y'all to get up on game. Around this time last year, Ice Spice was caught up dry hating on doechii. Yes, I said it, dry hating on doechii, and claiming that she was really only popular because she was a chosen dark skin. Okay, she did acknowledge her privileges for being a pretty privileged dark skinned woman who was slim. Okay, and the reason why she had to acknowledge these privileges is because doechii was running circles around her that whole year. Yes, Ice Spice has some, TikTok bops. But when it came to doechii's impact on music, all of everybody was giving her praises. You had Billie Eilish giving her praises. You had all of these kind of senior, more legendary celebrities really taking doechii's artistry seriously. Okay, something that nobody has ever given Ice Spice the entire time she's been out and about. No one ever took her artistry, her raps, her music seriously. We always just thought that this was an industry plant or this was a fluke. Okay, so the reason why Ice Spice had all this commentary for doechii's career but can't seem to see what's wrong with her career is because she was dry hating on the girl. So Ice Spice, while you had to conjure up, these weird publicity schemes and stunts in order to get your 15 minutes again, in order to be seen and not heard, you have to always resort to controversy. You have women like doechii who are working in the field all year round, working on their craft, their skill, okay? Never sleeping, never getting no rest, and running circles around you, talent-wise, notoriety-wise, and in every other way, we can see what goes down, okay? So I always tell you girls, my strategists, to be more like doechii and less like Cleo. Ditch that. We need to eradicate the sidekick complex. You are never going to get by off raw assimilation and trickle down effects. That's not how this life works. Note what Ice Spice was really noticing about Doechii is that Doechii put her phenotype first, put her artistry first, put her brand first, and never was running behind the next person trying to play sidekick, unlike Ice Spice, okay? So while Doechii was getting it out the mud and getting it in the paint and getting her Grammy accolades and dedicating it to Black women, right? Ice Spice was forced to just sit there and watch. And it has nothing to do with her being a chosen dark skin, because I'm going to just nip that in the bud too. It has everything to do with the fact that Doechii has stacked and coupled all of her privileges on top of each other. So the pretty privilege on top of the creativity privilege on top of the slim privilege, it is all going to work into her best interest. Her actually having talent works with the pretty privilege, never takes it away. So it makes her that much more of a powerful competitor and someone who took over, and that's why she took over this year. I'll tell y'all two things for certain. Doechii been on the radio all year. Every time I turn on the radio, it's Doechii on there every hour on the hour. So while Ice Spice was worrying about everyone else's career, she probably should have analyzed her own. And because I actually like Ice Spice's music, I can really get with the pretty girl, reserved, mean girl vibe. It's kind of my thing, personally, just personally. I will, for the one time and one time only, give strategy advice to Ice Spice. Hun, the only reason you haven't made it to where like people are giving you Grammys and giving you accolades and clapping your name with standing ovations is because you're fraudulent. Everyone can see and smell the inauthenticity that comes out of your mouth. Every time you speak, it's just a load of inauthenticity, which is okay. But again, people, they are not stupid. The problem with Ice Spice as a person and as a brand is that she's too manufactured. Without any real, artist development and not having a natural passion for music, it's very obvious that this is her problem and that she's really just in here for the check. Another celebrity that I feel like has this problem is Sexy Red. She speaks about how all the time, like, making music is the least favorite part of her being a rapper. And I think that when you get these types of artists into the space, they're rarely ever going to do better than actual legendary people who care about the art form, people who love music. You know what I'm saying? So music lovers, we're going to be able to see that this is a cash grab and not a person who's actually talented and has their heart and soul and passion put into music. You know what I mean? So while they sit there and watch someone fake and pretend, they would much rather prefer watching people who they feel like have real authenticity. Women like Glorilla and Latto, for example, right? So Ice Spice really needs to focus on just the art, the talent. Girl, you need to get in a boot camp, a workshop from sun up to sundown. Working on them dance moves, working on that breathing technique, working on your real artistry. You always say how you don't got no writers, you write yourself. But Ice Spice, your writing capabilities are not where they should be for you being exceptional. Now, she's not a trash artist, not by any long shot. However, where she's at in her artistry skills, she's with the greats. She's up there up against the exceptional type girls. So you have to obviously improve your lyrical capabilities, okay? You may want to get a writer, a ghostwriter, somebody who can write or at least tailor your raps to sound a little bit more thought-provoking, a little bit like you actually cared about what you were doing. So yeah. And just to be quite candid, Doechii is the most well-rounded artist that has broken since 2023. Can we be for real? Okay. When I was watching last year's BET performances, I think I was watching Glorilla's, Latto's, and Doechii's. Doechii was actually entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat. I was hyped up. I actually felt her as a performer, not just an entertainer, right? When I was watching but when I was watching Latto and Glorilla specifically, they weren't keeping up with the dancers at all. They were doing little two steps, missing certain parts, not on it. This is how you differentiate yourself as a competitor. This is how you let people shake in their boots, okay? Because your talent outweighs any of their, whatever they think they got going on in their head, whatever privilege they think they got, whatever, deals they done made in the back end. It's never going to override authenticity, talent, and all of that being in a genuine vessel like Doechii. You know what I'm saying? So I tell you guys, pick which one you want to be. I always tell y'all, recognize y'all privileges and rub them in people's faces because they see it. So be good people. Be holy people. Read the word and spread the word. And I'll be back in my next video. Bye.
I still need to get this watch. Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.